What's going on, people? Harold S. Reed Jr. here, your motivational coach. Listen, please, first of all, please forgive whatever kind of funkiness you hear in my voice, as I've been fighting a cold for the past week and a half or so. So I'm not 100%, but sometimes you gotta play hurt. I didn't post a lot these past few days because, well, quite frankly, I just didn't feel up to it. So I figured when I was ready to come back on, I'd talk directly to you. So here we are. Now, what I want to talk to you today about is fear. Not in terms of the boogeyman or walking down a dark street at night. I want to talk about the fear that people have of doing what's necessary in order to better themselves. I started my speaking career in 2006, and it's been okay. But being the high achiever that I am, I know okay is not good enough. And I've had, over the early years, several opportunities to work with and learn from top name speakers. I was offered the opportunity to work with Les Brown. I was offered the opportunity to work with Dr. Delatoro McNeil. And mind you, both of these opportunities came well before 2020. So we're not even talking about these past 3 years. We're talking about years early into my speaking career. However, I didn't take advantage of those opportunities. And there's only one reason why I didn't take advantage of those opportunities. I was afraid to gamble on myself. I was afraid to put forth the investment in order to gamble on myself, improve myself, and thus improve my business. But I'll have to say that there are things that happen in our lives that trigger us into action. Sometimes we take a leap of faith, and sometimes life just kicks us off the cliff and we got to figure it out. For me, it was a little bit of both. For me, the most, I would have to say, pivotal point in my life at this point was when my dad passed in 2021. And the time I took to, first of all, just process that led me to the road that I'm on now. And one of the things I realized with the passing of my dad is that my safety net is gone. And when I say safety net, your parents are your safety net. Your parents are always going to be there for you, provided you have a good, loving relationship with them. You know, they're always going to be there for you to the best of their abilities. And I'm not just talking about, can I borrow some money or what have you. I'm talking about they're going to be there for you because they've always been there for you. I have 2 sons. I'm always going to be there for my sons. But then there's going to come a time when I can't be there, when I'm not there, when I won't be there, because I won't be here. And I want my son to have everything that's in me that's good. I want to put on top of everything that's in him that's good, so that he could take everything that I carried from my dad onto me, that he carried from his father onto him, and put all of that into my son. I want him to put all of that, all the generations of Reed men that came before him, I want him to put all of that into who he's going to be. And above all of that, the one thing I want there not to be is fear, to the point where excuse me, where he won't have it within him to take the actions he needs in order to improve his life. So where am I going with this? I'm glad you asked. There are going to be times in your life when you recognize you're not where you want to be, and you will know exactly where it is you do want to be. But unless you're willing to put forth the time, the effort, and the money, you're not going to get what it is that you want. You're not going to be able to go where it is you want. You're not going to be able to be who it is that you want. You've got to get past this fear. I don't know if it's fear of failure, fear of going broke, or just downright being cheap. Because here's the thing. People tend to think, I'm not giving that person my money to blah, 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 blah. And all you think about is what money you're putting out to another person, and that person having the time of their life with your money. Quite frankly, hashtag warning, I cuss. That's bullshit. All right? Because you have Netflix account. There's a CEO somewhere on the beach at some point in time during the year because you paid your Netflix account. You have your Amazon Prime, your Amazon Music, your iTunes, your YouTube Plus, or whatever the hell else, Hulu, Paramount Plus, whatever. The clothes you wear, the food you buy, all of these, the car you drive. All of these things go to fund some CEO somewhere. So my question to you is, what's stopping you from becoming a CEO? What's stopping you from becoming the chief executive officer of You Incorporated? What's stopping you? See, you busy thinking about what somebody else is going to do with the money you provided them, and you're not thinking about what it is you're getting in exchange for that money. What knowledge are they passing along for that money? Right? When I had those early opportunities to work with Les Brown and Dr. Del Toro, I had those same thoughts. I ain't trying to make these dudes more rich than they already are. But then I realized something, like I said, back in 2021, when I realized that my safety net was gone. I realized that everything I do from now on is on me. I can't tell you how many times something has happened or someone has come into my sphere, if you will, and I was like, man, I can't wait to tell my dad. I can't wait to call my dad. And I have to stop myself and realize I could, there's no dad to call. There's no conversation to be had. And I just have to put it on faith. I just have to charge it to faith that whatever I'm going through, he's watching and he's guiding. So the first big step I did in terms of investing in my future, investing in my knowledge, investing in myself, was achieving a goal I set decades ago, actually, to see Tony Robbins live. And it was an experience. If those of you who remember, a couple years ago, I posted the pictures and a couple videos or whatever. I had a great time. I lost my voice the first day. Sounded not too much different than I sound now. A little bit worse than I sound now. But that experience gave me something. That experience lifted me. That experience forced me to find the brave little boy that used to jump off stuff and roll and tumble and flip, and if a knee got skint or an elbow got bruised, so be it. And the beautiful thing about that was, when I was a kid, if ever I had a cut, scrape, or bruise or whatever, my father's cure-all was Campofonique, and that stuff stung like the devil. And so now that my dad's not here, I don't have to worry about anybody coming at me with that little green bottle of Campofonique to put on my boo-boos. But no, seriously, I found that brave little boy, and I realized that I don't want to let that brave little boy down by being afraid to invest in myself in order to improve my life and that of my family. And so I didn't invest further with Tony Robbins, but I began diving more into my studies the same way I did when I started this professional development journey I'm on, that I've been on. And I did reach Dr. Della Toro. I work with him. Not only did I learn from him, but I developed a friendship with him. I call him my little big brother because calendar-wise, I'm older than him. Height-wise, I'm taller than him. But in the professional realm, that's my big brother, right? And I learned so much from working with him. And yes, there was an investment involved. But here's the funny thing. Here's what I realized. What I learned from him put that money back in my pocket. And then some. What I learned from him created new relationships and new friendships that have also gone to put money in my pocket. All because I conquered the fear of gambling on myself. And it's funny, I use that word gamble facetiously. I'll be honest with you. Because I'm not a gambler. You will not see me at any tables in Vegas, Atlantic City, Louisiana, anywhere. Anywhere. You will not see me gambling. The way I gamble is I have to know I'm not going to lose. And that obviously goes against the definition of a gamble, because in a gamble, there's going to be a risk of a loss. I don't deal in losses. I deal in lessons. I don't deal in losses. And when it comes to putting money down, and then once you put the money down, it's in nobody's hands what the outcome is going to be. That's not how I get down. There has to be a return on my investment. Thus, it's not gambling. But the gamble for most people comes from the reality that most people won't do the work. Even after they've put the money out, they won't do the work. And that's a scary place to be, because what'll happen at that point is you'll put your money down for something, whether it's a study course or what have you. And I've done it over the years. You know, pay for a course, you get into it for the first couple of weeks, and then something happens and something comes up, and then the next thing comes up, and then it's a thought of your mind. I got to sit down and I got to go back and do that course. I put the money out for it, and then you don't go back to it. And then if the conversation were to ever come up with anyone else, you'd be like, oh, that didn't work out for me. Why didn't it work out? I don't want to get into it. It just wasn't for me. It just did. It's a BS excuse for basically you not doing what you set out to do. So you didn't gamble, you gave your money away, right? So you have to bet on you. And when you bet on you, you have to be your own sure bet. Because if you can't bet on you, why should anybody else bet on you? If you can't show to the world what you're capable of by you working on yourself, why should anybody else trust in you? Why should anybody else partner with you? Why should anybody else want to do business with you? I learned I had to gamble on myself. I learned I had to bet on myself. And I learned that I had to do the work. I'm still learning that I have to do the work. Present tense, have to do the work. I learned this because, or rather, what really motivates me right now is my youngest son. I asked him what he wanted to do as an adult, you know, to what you want to be when you grow up. And he said he wants to be an actor. Now, I have actors in my family. I have a couple of cousins who have done movies, TV shows. One of my cousins, my cousin Karen, she's been on a plethora of TV shows. If you see a TV show with a short little dark-skinned woman, you know, dark brown-skinned woman with white hair, with short white hair, that's my cousin Karen. If you ever watched the movie, it was a 50 Cent movie years ago, never even made the theaters, but if you find it somewhere, called Before I Self-Destruct, the woman that plays 50 Cent's mom is my cousin Karen. My younger cousin Douglas, he lived in China for over a decade, and he started out doing music, and then that music went into different areas of business, fashion, import, export, and then he wound up doing acting, and he did a whole bunch of movies in China. And then he came back home right before, you know, COVID really jumped off. I find myself wanting to encourage him to do the work, because it's not just what you see on TV. Never mind reality. He doesn't even watch none of that crap. He doesn't really even watch TV for that point, for that matter. But I don't want him to be afraid to do the work. And what I've come to discover in my dealings with a variety of people is that they aren't where they want to be, not because somebody's holding them back, not because somebody's holding them down, but because they're just not willing to do the work. They're willing to do the work that's required of them at their 9 to 5 to get their paycheck, so they go to their cubicle or out on their route or whatever it is that their job has them do, right? And they're comfortable with that. I know if I go in for 8-9 hours and do this, at the end of next week, I'm going to get a check. Or 2 weeks later, I'm going to get a check. And as long as I don't do nothing to jeopardize that, I know my money's going to come in. But here's the problem with that. It's kind of hypocritical. Let me break it down. There are people, and you may be one of them, you may not be. If you are, you don't have to say it. If you aren't, you don't have to say it. But there are people out there, as I said earlier, who will look at someone else and say, why should I give that person my money for XYZ, yada, yada, yada. And as a result, they don't. And they wind up staying where they are. And that other person, they're living their life, they're doing their thing. But at the same time, you will trade, or that person, I'll say you, but that person, those people, every day, 365 days out of the year, off and on everybody, give or take vacations, whatnot, sick days, etc., will trade hours, will freely give hours of their life to an entity that can replace them. Like that. You will trade hours of your life for pennies of what your true value is. How can I say that? I can say that because I could go out right now and get a job paying $5, $10, $15, $20 an hour, depending on how desperate my cause or situation may be, and bust my behind doing that $5, $10, $15, $20 an hour job and just get by. Or I could invest in myself, read some books, take some courses, get some coaching, shameless plug, and learn what those who are doing what I want to do, learn how to do those things, and then begin doing those things for myself, and then begin charging what I want to charge for what it is that I do and what it is that I bring to the table. I will never tell my son, go to school, get a good education so you can get a good job. Go to school, yes. Get a good education, yes. But I'm raising my son to be an owner. And people love telling me, well, Harold, everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's not meant to be a business owner. Fine, cool. You go be somebody's employee. And you go raise your children to be somebody's employee. I'll be raising my child to be their boss. You raise your children to go out and beg somebody for a job. I'll raise my child to be the one they're begging. I'm not downing anybody. You choose one path, I choose another. But I'm telling you that the foundation of whichever path you choose is a direct reflection of whatever fear you have or do not have in terms of your willingness to bet on yourself, your willingness to invest in yourself. And if you don't have that, excuse me, sorry, I told you I'm fighting a cold. If you don't have that willingness to bet on yourself, to gamble on yourself, to invest in yourself, you're not only doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your children a disservice. You're doing your children's children a disservice. This isn't the 50s and 60s where, especially if you're black and watching this, especially if you're brown and watching this, especially if you come from a different country where like your grandparents were living off of like 15 cents a week or some nonsense like that. These aren't those times now. These are the times where young people are becoming millionaires on TikTok and YouTube. These are the times when, not necessarily a fan of it, but there are women and men going on their phone, making risque, racy, downright rated X, triple X videos of themselves, yet making 6-7 figures. So you can't pacify me with the not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. There's always something you could do if you're willing to put forth the work necessary and required of you in order to do it. And if you're too afraid to do it, don't blame Trump. Don't blame the white man. Don't blame the government. Don't blame your boss. Don't blame Betty with the big mouth at work who always got something to say about somebody. Ain't got nothing to do with nobody but you. I'm going to close with this because I don't want to keep you guys all day. And I say this often, so I'll say it again. It's never the people who are talking to you who talks you out of your dreams and goals and aspirations. It is always and only the person who is talking within you who does. With that, you guys go ahead and take care of yourselves. I'm going to drink my medicine ball right here. And you guys have yourselves a great day. Peace.